Venn diagrams, those 3 circles? Right. And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those 3 circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, the 3 circles. The television coverage of just yesterday, that's on top of everything else that we know and don't know yet, based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but just limited to what we have seen. For us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been,
6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy. Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing? Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're
all right, pause.
Shut up, woman.
I think the best thing they could do from the Republican standpoint is just show clips of Kamala trying to act black. Like, there's nothing more cringe than when she tries to act ghetto and black. Like she's just one of the common people. It's just too much, man.
I think we try to discern, like, isn't she Indian? Like, she's not even black. She's Indian or something.
Indian and Jamaican.
Indian Jamaican.
And her Jamaican ancestors owned slaves.
Yeah, but it makes sense though, because like the Dems play the race politics. It's like here down in Texas, we had Beto O'Rourke for like 3 cycles, and he's Irish, but he went by Beto.
Dude, what a crazy freaking news cycle we've been in. Like,
glorious.
It's just been an unbelievable. I wanted to actually start the show off pretending Nick wasn't coming on with us anymore after his video the other day. Just have us come on and be like, well,
I had so many people who asked me concerned. They're like, does that mean you're not going back on Avoiding Babylon? Or they would say, good, you should get off Avoiding Babylon because I don't like those guys. And I told them, take a long hike off a short pier. I don't care. So
yeah, look, people either love us or hate us. What are you gonna do?
It's whatever.
Yeah, no, but I mean, our show is a little different. We try to just goof on the news and stuff like that. We're not, but we do Tuesday. I want to do a show on the Eucharistic Congress, and I want to really get into. We're gonna play some clips and just see because I think
I heard they had a racist black woman on there too.
I didn't catch that.
I have not heard of that.
Gloria Purvis.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know too much about her. We'll have to get into that, but yeah. So I really think we might be in a bubble. I think like trads are in a very much of a bubble because I posted a clip of a video from there, and it's kind of like Hillsongy music and stuff. And I just asked genuinely, like, would you want to be at this? Because there's different approaches to it. It's not my cup of tea. I personally would not want to, but I can also see the beauty in 60,000 Catholics coming together in Eucharistic adoration, But we'll do that one on Tuesday. We'll get into that, and and you'll be surprised at people's responses to that, and also to my "What do you guys think of Father Mike Schmidt's poll?" Like, I was very shocked at some of the answers on that too. So that's gonna be.
What are we sipping, Rob? I'm just curious.
Kentucky Owl.
Bro, you're gonna need a lot tonight after listening to her. A lot of.
I thought we were doing. Are we doing a drinking game? No.
Yeah, every time she says something.
Every time she mentions the Venn diagram, drink.
Golly.
I'm a little in recoup mode. Had my son's graduation party yesterday, so I'm a little slow today.
How was that? Was that pretty fun?
Everything went off great, man. My son had introduced me to a Polish girl that he knows, and she taught me the Hail Mary in Polish last night. I don't remember a word of it.
Did he propose to her? Because he should.
Oh, I told him he should, though. We'll get into all that on Tuesday. All right, so for tonight, we pushed off Thursday's show because I had some stuff going on with work, but me and Rob were kind of like, let's just leave it up in the air. Maybe we'll go on Sunday in case Biden drops out. And if Biden drops out, we'll jump on Sunday. So this is where we're at. Now, from what it seems is that he dropped out without any notice to his team. Like this morning,
they found out on Twitter.
They found out on Twitter, which is nuts. And part of me thinks there's a possibility somebody just got a hold of that Twitter account and fired this statement out just to put that much more pressure on Biden.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I can say for one thing we have to take into account is that Biden, he is a stubborn old SOB. He did not want to drop out. I'm sure he's flaming mad at the moment. He's pissed, probably throwing, ice cream against the wall and stuff like that, raging. But so he did not want to leave. And what was so interesting about this was, on the one hand, his committee kept coming out over and over, his campaign, saying, we're not dropping out. And of course, you have to take those things with a little bit of grain of salt because you never know whether or not that's true. What kind of duped me was two things. One, they had, on the one hand, their schedule already written for next week. So they're having like David Letterman going to go campaign for him and stuff like that. Like, okay. And then they also had an emergency DNC online delegate count that was supposed to take place the first week of August. So both of those made me kind of skeptical whether or not he was going to come out. But then also on the flip side, you had Adam Schiff come out very publicly. He's a huge name in the Democrat House of Representatives. You had, of course, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. When Nancy Pelosi says you need to get out, remember she's like 84 or something like that. When she tells you, you're too old, and she's 84, you're screwed. So she says to get out. And then when Obama, he's the kingmaker, he's like, well, you should consider the future of your campaign. Very political way of saying, Joe, get out of here. It's pretty bad. And so now that he's gone, the question is what they're going to do. And I think we're going to debate a little bit about.
That's the question, right? So, okay. So first off, I'm hearing Jack Posobiec is reporting that Jill Biden went on like a 2-hour rant. Like she did not want to go. She
an old boomer white woman ranting?
Lost her mind. She did not want to go. She said she's never going to forgive anybody for what they did to her. The other thing is, I think Biden was like, oh yeah, you guys want me to leave? I'm going to endorse Kamala on the way out. Like it just go, yeah, all right, I'll leave. I'm going to leave you with the biggest mess you ever heard. And so I don't think Kamala will be the candidate. Nick does, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. She's 1,000% going to be the candidate. 1,000%.
There's no chance.
I will give you my two reasons in a second. First, I want to say, to touch on your point, yeah, Jill Biden was probably freaking out because I don't know if you guys saw those leaked photos of him and his wife at the beach this weekend, but they're like just chilling out there on the beach, right? Happy go lucky. So she's probably was
COVID.
Yeah, apparently, he has COVID. That was their exit ramp. 1,000%. He doesn't actually have COVID. He 1,000%.
I never thought for a second he had COVID. Here's what I really thought with COVID. I don't even think it was his exit ramp. I think after the debate, he had to put on such a performance day after day, going out, rallies, doing all these events, and they weren't assisting him. Like the news wasn't backing him, where it's like, okay, their campaign called a lid for today. They weren't letting him get away with that.
They stopped calling everything fake news and AI and all that.
Yeah, they stopped calling him cheap fakes and things like that. So they stopped backing him up. So he actually had to go and do these events. Now, an 84-year-old guy, or however old he is, that doesn't have the cover of the media, I think he just got the crap beat out of him for 3-4 days in a row. And I just think he was just like, I can't do it. I need a little break. So they said, oh, he's got COVID. Who tests for COVID in 2024? Like, how would you even know if you have COVID? He had a cold.
Yeah, I actually do think it was his exit ramp. And the reason I think it's his exit ramp is because he is a stubborn person. He does not want to. As an example, in 2015, he wanted to be the nominee, but he got shafted by Obama, and Clinton was the runner-up. And so he's always been super mad. What you guys, everyone in chat, what you guys are seeing is you're seeing full-on dim partisan political intrigue. You have the Clintons and the Obamas who are warring out at the moment, playing their characters. And so you see, last minute, it was yesterday, the Clintons came out and said, no, we're going to stick with Biden, whereas the Obamas have been pressuring him to get out for years. They both don't like each other. Why I think it's going to be Kamala. Let me give you two reasons why I think she's going to be Kamala. Number one, Kamala Harris's name is attached to the Biden-Harris ticket. which means that they are attached to the $120 million of finance backing that's supposed to go into an election campaign. This money cannot be transferred to another candidate, right? They're stuck legally.
Oh, so it has to go to Kamala.
It has to go to Kamala because she's the only one that's left of the deal, if you will.
So that's the Biden campaign.
Exactly. And so they
Okay.
can't just like pull out and give it to Newsom or whomever. The second reason, this is
How much money's in there?
so that's attached specifically to that name, 120 million plus. There's upwards to 240 million overall in the war chest, but 120 million, which is a massive sum of it.
Specifically allocated for Biden Harris.
Exactly. Number two, there is each state has different election laws, right? We got this huge debate opened up in 2020 because of all of the mail-in ballots. People kind of became aware of this. There are multiple states, particularly battleground states, the ones off the top of my head, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, who solidified already as their candidate on the ballots Biden Harris. Now, they solidified it underneath the clause that one of those individuals is going to be the Dem nominee, which means that if they were to just yank them out and put in Michelle Obama out of nowhere or Gavin Newsom out of nowhere, those states essentially would be forfeiting all Dem ballots, which they've already passed an election date time already. So they can't go back and reverse them. So it has to be.
So wait a minute. You're telling me those states, and those are battleground states. You're telling me there's no way for them to switch out and put a new candidate in?
No, you could do a write-in ballot, but that would be about it, and it wouldn't really do anything. They can't switch them out because, again, of their particular election laws. The third reason, this would be my last reason, because I said I had two, but a third one came to mind, is if they were just to toss Harris. Harris is the only thing left to the Biden name, right, at the moment, which means she's going to get all the baggage. But millions of individuals in the Dem party actually do like Biden. They actually do like him, which is crazy. But they voted for him in the primaries. So now that he's out, if he was to just not endorse Kamala or Kamala was to get shafted, millions of voters would already feel alienated, which is not a good thing.
All right, I see that point, but I'm telling you, those millions of voters are just going to vote Democrat either way.
They would, but there is a certain catch, and this is one reason why I think Kamala is the character. She is most likely going to nominate Governor Shapiro, not Ben Shapiro, no relation, but Governor Shapiro of the state of Pennsylvania. He's a white man, which is good, and the reason that I say that it's good is because there are a lot of Dem boomers who are flat out racist. For instance,
who would rather vote for RFK than Kamala.
Exactly, because of the name recognition alone, but because of race. I mean, if some of you guys might remember the famous statement back in the 2008 election with Barack Obama, where Bill Clinton said, "Oh, what a nice guy. We used to have guys like this serve us coffee in the morning." It's like, okay, Governor of Arkansas, that sounds nice. Or even Joe Biden back in 2008, where he says, you can't go into a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts without having a slight Indian accent, right? Classics. They're glorious. So they're going to,
not wrong.
Yeah, they're going to have a white guy 1000% get on that to ease the tension, just like they had Barack Obama. Biden was to ease the tension.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's going to be her, and they're going to pick him, probably Shapiro, because he is the governor of Pennsylvania. Trump is up by 5+ points in the aggregate of the Pennsylvania RCP average, and you need to win that state. It's that battleground Rust Belt.
Play the clip of AOC, Rob. You got an AOC clip that's interesting. I don't think it's Kamala. I don't.
You think it's AOC out of nowhere?
No, it's not AOC. Just play this real quick.
I'm gonna say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just gonna say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Kamala, Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations.
Where is she? Is she like in the back of an Italian restaurant?
A lot of them are not
hotel room,
just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
Yeah, so that's the whole point. because I think, look, what Nick, what you're missing, I don't know if you're missing it, but removing Biden and putting Kamala there is worse than just having Biden there. Like
I agree.
They've not improved anything, right? So including this tension that you're talking about between the Clintons and the Obamas, right? This tension that you're talking about, the Clintons come right out and they endorse Kamala.
Exactly.
Obama comes out, releases a statement about Joe, goes through this whole thing and doesn't endorse Kamala. There's going to be mayhem within the Democratic Party over the next week or two. So nothing is settled.
Amazing.
There is another reason to keep her on the ticket. If we were to, for some reason, get into a military conflict before November, she'd be the incumbent president then.
Exactly.
The incumbent president has never lost an election while at war.
Exactly. And if you guys think about it, what did Blinken come out with yesterday? Blinken came out with a massive statement talking. He's in the Biden administration. He came out with a statement talking about Iran and the threat of nuclear war because Iran's supposedly about to hit their nuke. Now, of course, side note, we've been hearing this since 1992. They've been saying for forever that there's going to be something like that. They're clearly bloodthirsty. In their ideal world, they would have had Nikki Haley versus Biden.
Well, you're also implying that Joe Biden isn't just not rerunning. You're implying that he's stepping down.
I should have implied that. If he does step down, then I would imagine maybe we'll get into a war.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he does step down because I mean you're already seeing obviously the majority leader in the House. He's already.
You talk about a guy who's stubborn, doesn't want to leave power. You think he's going to give up the last few months of his lame duck presidency? Not a chance.
He's not running. Now they can invoke the 25th Amendment. He doesn't have to have any choice in the matter at all.
He's got to get pardons in for his son. He's got a lot he wants to accomplish on his way out the door.
Gotta hide that crack in the White House.
How does that 25th Amendment work now?
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, pull it up. To mention to your point, though, Anthony, about Dim Civil War, 1,000% it's going to happen, and it's going to be glorious. The DNC, if they don't hold it online, because they're talking about having it online because there's literally tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters who are wanting to go to the convention and disrupt.
The monster they created.
Yeah, if they go and they do it live with all of that, it will be infinitely more exciting to watch than Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt off because you will see a divided party with a bunch of screaming weirdos. It'll be glorious.
So Section 4 of the 25th Amendment is what we want. So whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive department, so like the cabinet, or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president.
Yeah.
That's kind of insane if you ask me. Was there an amendment to this recently or something? Like, was this always the case?
So this came in was it the 1940s? I'm wanting to say this again, people could correct me. I'm wanting to say this actually came in after or right before FDR passed away, if memory serves. Do you got the date, Rob?
1967.
Okay. Oh, this is right. Yeah. So this came in right after. I remember now. This came in after a lot of debate post 1963 Kennedy being assassinated, because they were saying, well, what happens if we have a guy who gets offed, but what happens also if we have a guy who kind of goes insane or is incapable
or
of in the office?
If Kennedy had been shot in the head but survived, there was nothing in the Constitution at that point to replace him.
Exactly. So there is going to be a civil war. There's a power vacuum, so people are going to fight over it. Now, I think what's important to realize about this whole situation is, if Kamala is the candidate, which I again argue that she is, how damning would she be in the election? When you look at the polls already, they've been RCP. If people don't know, RCP, Real Clear Politics, they have a rolling aggregate of polls where they compare and contrast polls, and they even do a bunch of hypotheticals. So they've been doing for a while now Trump versus Kennedy versus Harris versus Stein versus West, which is the real actual five-way race that's going on. And Trump's still ahead by 5 or 6 points in just the aggregate alone. So interestingly, I think Biden was the best candidate for them, which is pretty sad. And it's just because one had incumbency, right? But then two, everyone else, with maybe the one exception of Buttigieg, is just insane. Like Biden, at least we can say, yes, you're mentally
You
unfit.
ever hear the conspiracy that Buttigieg is straight?
Bro, I don't even. I believe every single person is straight. And
Like,
everybody else is just
No,
laughing.
like, but there's a conspiracy that Buttigieg is straight, and like he just like married that dude for like bonus
clout.
points, so like for clout to like move up in the you know the
What some guys will do to get power, I guess.
Sue, Sue, believe me, I'm in the same boat as you. I tuned out of politics after that last election. This is just too exciting. Like, I don't know. This season of America is awesome. It's like there's so much going on this year.
Just think about what has happened in the last week. Trump gets shot in the head, survives, acts like a total warrior standing up. The GOP completely unites. You have freaking Hulk Hogan giving a speech, Dana White, Kid Rock, all of this epicness. And then, you know, the DNC completely implodes, and now Biden's out. All within.
I think Laura's from Canada, and she's enjoying it. It's like,
bro,
you know?
America, we are not just the greatest country on earth. We have the greatest politics. Let's just
Grover hates politics, and I understand, dude. You know,
I don't know. Boring. I think Russian politics are more fun. You never know when a car bomb or radiation poisoning is going to come into
play. Yeah.
Rob's going to make a niche channel covering Russian politics.
I don't think you guys are really prepared for all right, Rob, play what we were going to use as the opener. We won't play the entire thing, but this is just, I mean, if you guys don't have this memorized by this point, because it's just been played, she has said it so many times. We won't play the whole clip. It's 2.5 minutes long of her just repeating this phrase at every single event she goes to.
After this, can I respond to this after that? Because we got to talk about the whole blue and on nonsense that's going around.
Oh, that's actually really is interesting. Oh, I think I have stuff I sent here from the last time that we never talked about.
Yeah, I don't want to derail you, so we'll talk about it later. But I want to talk about that because, oh brother.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know, what can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can
see, the Vatican II
what
slogan?
we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What can
so
be
true, Rob. So true.
Unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been. Who we can be unburdened by who we have been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Right, I mean, you guys get it. I mean, she just does this all the time. And I agree with this. Like, we're going to cover politics. When this Trump assassination attempt. I mean, Biden dropped out, and it's also a Sunday bonus show. Like, this isn't our typical Tuesday, Thursday. We wanted to jump on just to talk. Tuesday, we're getting back to Catholicism. It's just it's just too exciting right now.
There's so much changes in Catholicism.
Do you want to do the blue and on conspiracies? Rob, if you scroll up through the videos that I sent last week, I sent you it says blue and on conspiracy theories. And it's actually amazing to watch what these people all think.
Okay, hold on.
Dude, the blue and on, it's so bad. It's so bad. It is peak what happens when you like too much conspiracy theories rot your brain. 1000%.
I
And
think that's what she's going for. She's trying to sound profound, right? But they have speechwriters. Like, how does a speechwriter keep adding this? I think she heard it once in the speech, and now she just pulls it out like it's this unbelievably profound thing that she's come up with.
Maybe her brain got fried when she was smoking weed back in the day, apparently.
Which is ironic considering all the black people she put in jail for marijuana use.
Exactly.
Let me tell you something, Aaron. I hold these two women in the same exact. I consider Boebert as bad as her.
Boebert's
I really do. Like, that woman. I have a genuine distaste for that woman, Boebert. All right, you got it.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the blue.
Nick, do you know who the warrior poet is?
No, what is that?
He's a gun guy on YouTube who's also a prot pastor.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Cool.
Usually good stuff, but he did go after Catholics today. Anyways, here we go.
It's a false flag.
False flag.
Yeah, false flag.
Somebody died and 2 people injured. What do you think about that?
False flag. False flag.
I thought it was magnificently staged. It was professionally
These people
done.
know nothing.
It almost looked
Leftist
real.
nonsense.
Wait. Staged by who?
Oh, by Mr. Trump, of course.
I think this whole thing is staged. You think it was staged? Yeah.
It depends on everybody's view. Yeah.
View of the assassination attempt. What do you think? Does it kind of depend on where you're standing, whether or not you agree with the assassination attempt or disagree with it?
I just don't see that being the truth, but that's I'd rather just not make any comment.
Really quick, what are you talking about the truth? What do you mean? Oh, you just don't believe it was an assassination attempt?
No.
Please don't.
No.
We're so anti-Trump. I don't even want to.
Was it a bad thing though?
I mean,
Was it a bad thing? Would you condemn it?
To be fair, it looks like he's doing this on like Venice Beach or something.
Yeah, I think
That's a liberal area.
But it's still look.
really bad. No matter,
You're seeing the female destiny manifest. I'm surprised we haven't talked about
That's basically it. You know, like these people are so nuts because they have for 8 years seen nothing but Trump being bashed in the news, that anything that even portrays him in the slightest positive light, they think has to be nonsense. Like they can't imagine it's true.
Dude, and the amount of trads, and I'm the most trad probably person here, the amount of trads that I've had message me, tell me, no, it was a false flag. He set this all up. He had a blood pack in his hand that he went up and reached up and hit himself in the ear with. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. The bullet that you see flying by, that must have been, just inserted there. It was Photoshop, right?
But
the guy who just happened to die.
Like even with when you're talking about having on the conspiracy on the other end, where let's say that there's government agencies behind this, right? People think like 1,000 people are in on this. No, it's like whoever was supposed to be up on that command post was just told, hey, go do something else, right? Exactly. There's like 3 or 4 guys that are in on it. There's a shooter up in the water tower. If there's a second shooter, because that's one of the theories.
It doesn't even have to be that. It could just be they've decided to just be lax in security. Just
intentionally.
Well, what is broken out over the last 24 hours is that apparently, especially those females, quote unquote, Secret Service people, were actually just individuals who worked for the DOJ, and their excuse,
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, thank you. Yeah. And their excuse has been, well, we have the Secret Services, that is, well, we just don't have enough recruits. The problem is, of course, is that everything is just going to be full fog of war mode. I mean, we're not really going to get to the bottom of this until Trump is elected. But if I can put on my Thomas hat for just literally 20 seconds, you guys have to be careful about how much conspiracy you go down. Yeah. Why? Mm-hmm. While on the one hand, yes, it's good to question the system, right? I'm not saying to not question the system. The problem is that if you're always training your intellect with the habit of hardcore skepticism, then you can literally get to the point where you see a guy get shot in the head and you think it was fake. Yeah. And that's where your intellect has been fried. You've started to do major damage to yourself.
Well, you have to realize what part of what they've done to us over the past 8 years is make us question everything about our reality.
So true.
And using it as a fog of war type of thing where you don't know anything anymore, and you're just like, I don't know, like I don't trust anything I say. But I can't blame anybody. Like I don't trust anything I see anymore. I question every narrative the government has given us.
Exactly.
My entire life now.
I fully agree with you. I question every single thing. I 1000% believe it was an inside job. I just don't question a bullet. Unfortunately.
Oh no. Yeah. Trump got shot. Yeah. No. That's ridiculous.
It's just stuff like that where you're
that's like saying that it wasn't planes that hit the Trade Center. It's like I watched a plane hit the Trade Center. I'm not,
Me and my friend were actually roasting this. We were saying that like those old videos where the guys are like, there was no planes, there was nothing.
Yeah, come on, that's like ridiculous at that point.
Yeah,
like, I was there, bro. I wasn't there, but like we all saw a freaking airplane hit the building.
Dude, 1000%. I'm a psyop. Yeah. Clip this. Nick Cavazos is a psyop.
All right. So Nick, you really think it's going to be Kamala?
Yeah, 1000%. I will say if there is, I think what you see with AOC is you see the progressives don't want another neolib in power. And so it would not surprise me if either A, one of them tries to run, or B, if they try to shuffle in Sanders or something to that effect. I've already seen some conservative talk show hosts talk about that reality. If you were to see that, you would see a brokered convention, straight up insanity on the dim floor, which would be hilarious to watch.
Yeah.
Because again, we're just a few months out from November and they haven't picked a guy yet. So I still think it's going to be Harris, though. I think she has the money.
Okay.
She has a ton of endorsements already.
I see. Okay, so I'm also seeing that the reason I played that AOC video is because she's talking about that there's no consensus within the Democratic Party. Like they want the whole ticket gone. The Clintons come out and endorse Kamala, and then Obama comes out and does it.
1,000%.
Gives this whole long thing and says how much he respects Joe and thinks that he's, making a huge sacrifice for the good of the country and all this. And he says at the end, we will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. I believe that Joe Biden's vision of a generous, prosperous, and united America that provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display at the Democratic Convention in August. No, it won't. And I expect that every single one of us are prepared to carry that message of hope and progress forward in November and beyond. For now, Michelle and I just want to express our love and gratitude to Joe and Jill for leading us so ably and courageously during these perilous times and for their commitment to the ideals of freedom, equality that this country was founded on.
Dude,
I think he's straight up saying there will be some process we come up with, and all those states you're saying that the ballot campaign, like you're talking about a constitutional emergency, they will fix that. Like we're talking about the Democrats, they will figure out a way to fix that.
The issue though, again, is that think about what Obama's doing. We can either read it as he is saying, okay, we're going to shuffle somebody in there, or what he's saying is, how much do I want my name to be associated with the Biden-Harris ticket? What's in it for me? That's the issue. Just in the same sense, I bet you the only way that they got Biden to step down was either one of two things. Either A, someone shoved a barrel in his face, unlikely, or B, they shoved a ton of cash in his face and they said, okay, you can get an insane amount of this, or you're going to get some type of insane power, etc.
I think the idea of Kamala being the first woman of color president of the United States enrages Obama. Like, I don't think he wants Kamala to be the first female Black president.
You never know, but I mean, here's a good thing for all of us who are going to be voting. Biden, his excuse is that he was just insane, right? He was losing it. He's losing his marbles. I personally think that he might have had a stroke within the last month as well, because if you watch the clips from particularly around 2 weeks ago till now, it's gotten considerably worse. But Kamala Harris is a freaking psychopath who laughs at videos of children dying. I
have a cackling video of Kamala.
Yeah, she is actually straight up a psychopath. And so people have to be aware of this when they're going into the voting booth. She 1000% would love an armed escalation with another country. 1,000%.
Oh, yeah.
1,000%.
No, I don't even, dude. I don't look. Here's what you have to realize. Even when you think about why they hate Trump so much, we're talking about going from the time of George W. Bush getting in, right? Mm-hmm. I should unsub from Nick's channel until he changes the names of traditional Thomas 1000%, etc. Just kidding. I love your channel, Nick. I saw Joshua Charles's sister Nancy promoting your channel today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Appreciate it.
So we went from the time of George W. Bush. You really have to think about the men that have become president. Like, they go in and they're just like, okay, tell me what to do.
Well, particularly since even before that, because if you look, what made Reagan stand out from the crowd is he was an actor and he did a lot of good economic work. Bill Clinton picked all of his economic work up, sprinkled a little bit of welfare on it, inserted a little bit of BIPOC racial stuff, and said, let's run with it. George Bush, last Texan president, he was a shame in my opinion. He starts 2 wars. He's absolutely insane himself. And there was no difference between him and the Clintons. No difference at all. Obama, pretty much the only difference between Obama and Bush, aside from their skin color, was Obama preferred to drone people, whereas Bush preferred to invade people.
Yeah, and that was just an evolution in technology that allowed him to do it that way.
Exactly. And Trump, he is against the military-industrial complex.
That's
multiple times generals came to him and said, "Let's invade Iran,
Nick.
invade Libya."
Nick, Trump,
he said no.
Trump came. I'm sorry, I always talk over you, but
you're good.
Trump,
no worries.
And he's like, I want to do this. I want to do, and he starts signing executive orders and doing things that like he thought he was going to go in and actually be the president of the country. And I think they saw that and they were like, whoa, you don't get to do what you want.
And those generals stabbed him in the back. The Republican Party, a lot of those neocons, they stabbed him in the back. You see people all the time, they still like, well, Trump didn't finish all the wall. And I'm like, guys, where do you think congressional spending comes from? It comes from Congress. Trump had to get the money from Congress. It was the Republicans in Congress who stonewalled him. Why? Because the Republicans like a lot of slave labor, essentially, for their corporate buddies to work underground. Dems like a bunch of voters. They didn't want it. Neocons and neolibs are the exact same thing. The only difference is that they some like welfare more, some like tax breaks more. That's the only difference. And Trump blew the system up. He was not supposed to win.
I love the cigar mode. My money is U.S. dollars. Not, what was it last time somebody gave us
Argentinian pesos or something?
Yeah, it's like Argentinian pesos.
Was that actually money though? It's actually $20.
Yes, I mean,
it's
actually
$20. Hey, let's go. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we got.
They're asking for more politics, bro. The guys who are paying. That's all I'm gonna say.
We got a donation. It was like, and it was like, I thought it was $100. I'm like, holy cow, we got $100. We turned out it was 11 cents when you break down the conversion.
It's like Argentinian money or something.
So, oh man, I love. Yeah, so you have this guy comes in and he's just, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I think that so Kamala getting in will just be another do whatever the heck. She's not going to have any original ideas. It will be a continuation of the last 4 years under Biden.
Exactly.
Biden was not cognitively there. It was just the title of president that he had, and you get a little bit of.
She will rack up the woke stuff, though. She's 1,000% going to rack. I mean, Biden. Do you think Biden actually cares about the Rainbow Group? He doesn't actually care. He'll do whatever he needs to get in. Kamala probably does legitimately care, though. That's the issue. Yeah, no, I can confirm the Thomas and the CIA are now working together to destroy Molinism. So it's Molinism that we're going to hit first, and maybe Asianism after that. Palamites, we're coming for you after that. So. Yeah, no, that's what we need to do. And honestly, okay, not to be too much of a tangent, but look, about the vax thing. Okay, look, I don't like the vax either. But here's the thing. Trump was not mandating people getting it. It was dim partisan governors who were locking down their states. Trump wanted it just as an option, whereas Biden, of course, wanted to force a mandate on people. So people actually have to give some nuance to that.
I'll tell you why, Grover, because there's nothing more exhausting than the SSPX conversation.
Yeah, I'm so down with that.
Like, we don't do it. Like,
Plus,
our channel is not.
Plus, I like pissing Grover off.
Yeah, like we don't do SSPX arguments on this channel ever. Like, it's the most tiresome argument, and I don't care for it.
It's over. That debate is over for me. It's so done. And yes, he bragged about it, but he didn't enforce it. So we all brag about stupid stuff, but the Dems literally wanted to force it down your throats.
I could give you 100 reasons why Trump sucks. I just can. But like we talked about last episode, you're not choosing Trump. You're talking about people that literally want us dead. Versus,
I mean, at this point, it's really just about survival.
Yeah,
Trump has done. I mean, he's not perfect, but he did so many good things for, particularly the American worker. When I was at the time, right, I was working in a grocery store in management when he became president, and man, not just sales, but our company went through the roof, and we were paying our employees so much money. And then when Biden became president, everything torpedoed.
Oh, I could tell you a million. Okay, Marianne, what I'm saying when I say Trump sucks, okay, him disavowing the 2025, the Project 2025, that sucks, because that is actually a really good conservative platform that he's just trying to win an election. He did the same thing during the 2020 election, so I'm kind of just cutting him some slack.
Wait a minute, ARS, what is that?
That's
ARS 200.
Hey, let's go. Go buy some enchiladas, my bros.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's not a.
Your money will be as useless as mine. That's amazing.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But it's like, look at all the good thing. I mean, Trump has never been a principled, even old school paleocon.
No, he's always been a populist.
He's always been a right wing populist. Now, to his credit, and I'm going to get some crap for this, but I don't care. J.D. Vance, even though we disagree with his kind of political maneuvering for abortion, we have to look at his voting record. His voting record and his statements, both in his book and in his speeches, is straight up old school 1940s earlier paleoconservatism,
I'll tell you,
means
Kennedy sold me on him.
But JD Vance, his politics are amazing, like straight up amazing. Now, my only issue with JD Vance is he kind of reminds me a little bit of a youth pastor, just a little bit. The way he like carries himself, it's kind of funny. But I think that
I'll be honest. I watched Hillbilly Elegy today with my wife.
So
my wife is finally like paying attention. You know, like she
watched too much of your videos. She's gonna.
She's like she wants to know what's going on now because since the Trump thing, right? So that's the other thing. Like all of us. How we're like they managed to rope us back into politics, man. I
was already there.
I was legit done with politics. I'm like, I don't care for them. I don't want to hear about it. Somebody takes a shot at Trump, now I'm back in. But my wife wanted to know who like everybody is, so we watched Hillbilly Elegy, and then I showed her Vance's RNC speech where he talks about his mom, and then I started playing Kamala clips for my wife. My wife was just like, I loathe that woman. She is so annoying. She can't stand her.
Freaking psychopath.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get an interview actually with JD Vance because, you know, Scott Hahn has this famous photo with them. I'm like, yo, we're kind of friends, Mr. Hahn, Dr. Hahn. You want to help me out a little bit? Cash in, get a little interview with JD Vance, even if it's 5 minutes. That'd be pretty epic. I will, if hypothetically that does happen, right? I will 1000%, just to keep the memes going on, I will 1000% give him a signed photo of like from Bishop Tissier to Mallory of Lefebvre's biography.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I did see some things about like even just his connections to Peter Thiel and a couple other things that are worrisome. You know what I mean? It's
everybody in government though has connections to like everybody.
You don't get to that point. When we're writing New Jersey.
Dude, that actually would be epic. That would be epic because Anthony's got insane stories in general.
I do have a very interesting upbringing, man. I have a lot of interesting things that happen in my
better
my
version
childhood.
of The Sopranos. Watching Anthony's life story.
Yeah, should we play the Kamala cackling video? Like, I feel like that's all we should do is just from now until if she's the nominee, just make sure you show people that don't pay attention to politics clips of Kamala cackling.
I'm already dying. I'm already dying.
It's enough to drive anyone to not like her.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
Not-
Oh, brother, man. So true, Joe. So true.
He knows how to sell right there. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I can't do that.
She's
That's enough.
But people have to realize, like, we are in an insanely serious election, and if people are just going to be blackpilling and staying home, I'm like, okay, well, by default, you're going to allow this insane lady access to the nuclear codes. Have fun with that.
I think
the beautiful laugh.
I think that people understand I think people underestimate how much women don't like.
Underestimate what?
No, I meant underestimate.
That was a Kamala quote right
and then
there.
I went to underestimate. I think people underestimate how unlikable a woman, like an assertive woman, is to other women. I don't think your average woman like the assertive girl boss. Like, it's not a likable thing. I was talking about this with somebody about even like the Daily Wire when they came out and they were like, we're not going to do this woke stuff and we're going to come out with movies. And the movies they come out with are there's a school shooter and the girl boss goes and stops it. The next movie you have Gina Carano and she's the girl boss. It's like
don't forget the one that had topless women in it too.
But just think about like that? It almost
Her
makes
first one.
Yeah, I'm not.
Daily Wire's first movie, topless women.
What was that? I remember the name of that, like when it came out in the trailers or something. But I mean, my point is just think about again, like the context in which the right is. Like, we've been soaked in a woke culture really since 2014, even beginning before that, but really since 2014. And so it's just gotten really rough to where even conservative media and their entertainment, they're putting forward things that are, only half and half good. That's partially why I do like JD Vance so much, is because when I'm listening to his speeches, I'm like, bro, he's using language that Pat Buchanan used. I'm like, let's freaking go. Like, we're going to get some really interesting stuff, particularly if he is going to be the nominee in 2028, which I think he's lining up to be. So would you guys like a Vance Vivek ticket? Because one, they're best friends from college, so that's kind of cool. But then
they
two,
know each other from college?
Yeah, no. So I mean, they named JD Vance. He named one of his sons after Vivek. His name is Vivek.
I didn't know
they
that.
met in law school in Ohio, and yeah, it's just totally epic. Both of those guys incredibly smart. I really was kind of sad Vivek wasn't the VP, but yeah, JD.
Yeah, I do like Vivek.
How do I know that you're not a CIA suit? You say static in your name. How do I know you're not CIA? I'm just gonna have rash judgment toward everybody.
All right, so why don't we do predictions? Because
Okay,
we're only gonna stay on an hour tonight, and then we're gonna give you guys a nice show on Tuesday. We'll do a good local segment Tuesday, but tonight we're gonna keep it at an hour. All right, so Nick, you're sticking with Kamala as the ticket, huh?
Sticking with Kamala as the ticket, and I don't think that Kamala, at most, her by herself, it really will depend on what she will do with her VP pick. Because one, if she picks, as I think, a white male, it will have a little bit more competitiveness in the Rust Belt. Overall, I still think Trump wins because the economy's just been shot. And all Trump really needs to do is pin her and say, you were Biden's border czar. Look at what's going on.
Yeah.
If she picks a female candidate, let's say Gretchen Whitmer, right, from Michigan, maybe Michigan gets a tiny bit closer, right, to the divided point. But overall, I think that would be worse for her. By herself, all she, of course, really gets is maybe a little bit more of suburban black vote from Georgia. She is more unpopular than Biden because she's just genuinely unlikable, where people were just concerned with Biden. And I do think that this is more of a godsend for Trump. So we'll have to see what happens when she picks.
I don't think there's a chance it's her, because I think she fares worse than Biden. They'd have been better off just leaving Biden in and covering for him like they did last time.
That part,
so
I agree.
I don't see how this improves their standing in any way whatsoever. And I see all the power players in the Democratic Party positioning themselves to make a move. Like, they don't want Biden out for Kamala. If that was the plan, they would have took Biden out mid-presidency, like midterm.
Yeah, well, the question,
even
the question right now is, it's like, okay, well, Biden, the only answer he really gives for dropping out is for the interest of my party and my country, that ambiguous phrase. So it's like, okay, why are you really dropping out? We all know that the real reason is because you're being forced out because of your mental decline. But because of your mental decline, then what makes you think that you're fit to be president right now? Why don't you just resign? It's wild.
Okay, so there's no enthusiasm for Kamala.
No.
I don't think Michelle Obama is jumping in. I think that's not jumping in. There's no chance. She's I think
0%.
When it comes down to it, people like to be liked, and she has a very good public image, and I don't think she wants that ruined by.
Plus, every Gen Z male remembers, if they were public schooled, I wasn't, but every Gen Z male remembers those lunches. Man, they had to grow up on that nonsense.
On the Michelle Obama lunch.
Yeah, that's why she'd lose.
I do think the only thing that could make this election competitive is Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton would be interesting, but I don't think that she's jumping in. I don't
know, man.
Because, like, why did they already endorse Kamala? She already endorsed Kamala
because they know it's ridiculous. It's
your
like,
intellect's been fried, Anthony. You're too far gone.
I'm telling you, they know it's a preposterous suggestion for it to be Kamala. So they're like, hey, just support Kamala. Let's see how this plays out.
It won't be Gavin Newsom this round, I think, for two reasons. Number one, here's an extra reason why I think it's Kamala. If any major candidate jumps in right now, they are going to have essentially their entire career, whether people consider it good or bad, in the spotlight of Biden's failed mess, which means that any type of further political action they want to do on a national level, right, in the context of presidency, will be shot. So it really will be Kamala. Newsom in particular, people have been like throwing that one around for a long time now. Newsom, according to aggregated polls, is 12 points behind Trump. He's worse than Harris.
Yeah,
and
he's
mainly because he's from an echo chamber in which liberals, including the Young Turks, don't even like. So it's not going to be.
But he does have the presidential look. I understand that.
He
But I
does, and
really
that's why I
think the
think-
only option they have is to put Hillary in there. I really do think a rematch of Hillary versus Trump would garner excitement. It would rally their base to go and fix what they failed to do last time, and it could be revenge for her. I think that's the only thing that would actually rile up the Democratic
We call
base.
this common sense, my friend.
What
Common
if
sense.
what if they're just kind of giving up this election round?
I
What
think
if
that's
What
part
if
of
they
it.
want to
Actually,
keep Kamala on to like you said, Nick, if she does win, stick her with the baggage. But so either way, if she wins, she gets stuck with the baggage. They can start fresh in 28. Or if she loses, then they just prepare
Then
someone.
why
else
all this
for
pressure
28.
to get Joe to get out?
No, I think you're right, Rob. So the reason is because Biden. So while I agree with you, Anthony, I think Biden is actually, ironically, their strongest person that they could really throw in there.
That's my point. Why go through all this to push Biden out?
Because they don't want another 4 years of Biden or Biden's type of presidency, because that would really strengthen conservatives for.
So then just let him
Move
lose
forward.
instead of
Part
letting
of it,
Kamala lose.
part of it, but notice who was specifically asking him to drop out. It was beginning in the House and in the Senate. They are afraid that the down ballot results are going to be really, really bad. And so what they're saying is that they're saying, Joe, look, if you don't drop out, we're going to lose the House.
Everyone's getting wrecked.
Yeah, we're going to lose this. Well, they'll lose the Senate. They've already lost the House, but we'll have further damage in the House. We'll lose the Senate, which means that any prospect of Supreme Court nominees will be completely gutted. What they're hoping is that Kamala will do at least enough damage control to where that they can try to hold on to maybe even a slim, maybe they can keep them, maybe, they can get a majority in the House, maybe just by a slim margin. Who knows? They're going to pivot now into full obstruct mode. So again, it wouldn't surprise me. And you tell me your guys' thoughts. Trump gets elected, right? Day one. Impeached, right? Immediately by the Dems, they try to impeach him. That could happen.
Yeah.
I think that would be political suicide for them, especially if they lose the popular vote by a substantial margin. But you guys know we're going to see riots. Antifa's going to be rioting all over the place.
Okay, so that kind of brings to what Diane was saying. Wonder if they actually want Trump for some nefarious reason. Because, okay, so there's a couple of things unnerving me about this election. One is that you're seeing it as if we have to remember that Trump wasn't supposed to survive. The left is in inspiration mode. It's not all going as planned.
You mean inspiration, like spiraling out of control? I'm just a little confused.
No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe just like all things coming off the top of their head. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, they're
or maybe he meant spiration mode. Yeah. So there's a couple of things that unnerve me about this. Seeing the Dems kind of just go, nah, all right, we're going to lose this one. Like, that makes me very nervous. It doesn't feel right. There's something just
improvisation. Kennedy meant
improvisation.
Oh, improvisation. Okay.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I think to your point, Anthony, like the reason why I think that they are willing is just notice this. Everyone for a really long time has been saying things like, what do they have up their sleeve? What do they have up their sleeve? And I get that. And I think that that's warranted, especially after the last election. But also notice how so many of them covered up Biden's defects and how many lay Dems legitimately thought Biden was okay until the debate. And so my point is that I kind of stick to pride is a great blind. It blinds the intellect. And so I do think legitimately a lot of these people who are in power are saying, okay, Trump was supposed to be offed, as Kennedy pointed out. He was supposed to die. We failed at that. We can't obviously do that again because that would look so fishy. That would look insanely fishy, especially after right now. So how much damage control can we do to try to obstruct until we get somebody new?
So the way this was pulled everybody back into the circle of those who believe politics is real is concerning. Like, dude, I don't know, man. There's something about this. I did not care about politics.
The one
and
who
all of a
says
sudden
that,
I'm back into it. I'm like, all right, I'm voting again. Let's go.
You know who the arbiter or the author of just politics is completely fake? You know who that is?
No.
Joseph Stalin. Politics, of course, can be fake. He famously said it's not those who cast the votes, but those who count the votes that determine elections. And that can very much so be true. But we also have to use our reason and say what has transpired from 2020 till now. And we've seen mass defortifications take place in multiple states. If people just want to look at one example, go follow Scott Pressler on Twitter. He's posting about this all the time. He's leading over, I think it's like 5,000 ballot harvester chasers, and they've completely changed a lot of the state election laws in Pennsylvania alone. That's just one state. That's just one example.
So you're saying the Republicans are doing what the Dems used to do?
The Republican Party has thankfully gotten their act together, particularly after 2022, because they have new leadership, mostly because of Laura Trump, right? The party has been completely overhauled. So I'm not saying it's perfect, of course, but I'm saying, yeah, it's not the same old grand old party.
Yeah, just when I thought I was out.
I was never out, bro. I was never out. I love this stuff. This is fun. This is bread and butter.
Well, it is fun. It's interesting. And like I said last time, man, I mean, I thought it was pretty funny that we were talking about it. And I'm like, even if the election is nonsense, it's kind of like WWE,
That was
like
we called it, bro.
Hogan comes out of the RNC. I was like, you gotta be kidding
bro,
me.
I was so excited. I'm a kid from the late 90s. I didn't watch WWE or WrestleMania or whatever, but man, hearing him get up there and just saying, I'm gonna tell you something, brother, and then just ripping his shirt off, I was like, this is glorious. We've hit back to 1980s Republicans.
The problem with black pill on politics is it essentially admits that Providence has no say and it's only globalists, whoever. It's intellectually weak and simple. Let me tell you something. The other thing is, I think because I was so black pilled for the past couple of years on all this stuff, I think they succeeded in making me think that the globalist takeover is inevitable and we're just waiting for the end times. And that really was my mindset for a while, where I was just like, look, this stuff you're seeing it happen. There's no way to stop this. And I think that we can't really have that outlook. I think we do need to say, okay, look, we especially those of us with kids, man, like we still have to provide a world for our children to live in. We have to do something. We have to work with what we're given. And we have to work within that system and do everything we can. Now, the federal elections are one thing. Yeah, the president absolutely determines war, foreign policy, things like that. But the local elections are the most important. And with this election specifically, you have a chance to go and vote locally at every election. So get out and vote for your local politicians, because we saw with COVID how damaging those local elections really are. I mean, if you have local politicians who went along with every one of those mandates and all those things, it was 10 times worse than anything Trump enacted. Trump gave all the power to the governors. Like for the people who were like, he's a tyrant, he's a dictator. No, he actually gave every bit of authority on how to handle the pandemic to individual states and said, look, you guys know what's best suited to your territory. You guys handle it. I'm not going to put some overarching policy. You couldn't have asked for a better decision, because if it was a Democrat in power during that, it would have been tyrannical rules across the board nonstop.
Exactly. He did exactly what the 10th Amendment says. And if people are wanting him to be like a God Emperor mode Trump, go in there and just like lay waste to everybody, I'm like, okay, it's not going to happen. If you wanted him to be dictatorial on, not enforcing, COVID policies or something like that, okay, I get it. But you have to throw the 10th Amendment. But the Kennedys.
No, Laura, it wasn't. Okay, so in Canada, it was
way worse.
You're dealing with what we were talking about. In America, you could escape to Florida, you could escape to South Dakota, you could escape to places.
My little small town, no one wore masks. It was
my area was pretty chill overall, to be honest.
Yep,
it was pretty chill.
My local area on Long Island was pretty chill. I'm telling you, it was very conservative. I mean, the first month or two, nobody knew what was going on. But once we started seeing all this stuff, like you had plenty of people saying, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not doing this, I'm not going along with this. So if you have a local community that sees all this stuff as nonsense, you can fare pretty decently through a crisis like that. It's when you have, these dictator type figures like the Dems always try to get in that you have major problems.
It was pretty funny because that was right as I was coming into the church, and one of my practical lessons about the difference between the new mass and the TLM is that as we were waiting for the new mass to end, all the new mass people would come out wearing masks, and all the TLMers outside were not wearing masks. And when the priest asked us to wear masks, no one wore a mask. To Kennedy's point, though, 1000%, if people who black pill basically in their end result are concluding that God has no more providence on this earth and that we can do nothing, essentially, that it's just completely over and it's completely pointless. When God has entrusted us to make the world a better place. Now, if I'm saying, as I've said tonight, I don't think that Trump is a perfect candidate. He's far from it. He's a secular person running for a secular party in a secular country, right? So don't expect a Catholic emperor. But at the same time, to your point, Anthony, about what are we going to do for the next generation? I'm wanting to be married. I'm wanting to have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
I know a lot of other Gen Z dudes who are in the same position I am, who have the same sentiment. So you know what we're doing? In October, we're going to be driving out. It's still to be determined, but come meet us if y'all are out there in one of these states. We're going to go to a lot of the battleground states, and we're going to do on the person voting, not voting, excuse me, like help get out the vote for Trump supporters in these states. Why? Because we're just trying to do a little part in trying to help push
Nick,
it over the edge.
I'm going to be in Florida in October.
That's funny.
So if you wanted to come to Florida, which is the battleground state, and meet me in October, we could do that.
Florida's not a battleground state.
Yeah,
no, it's really not anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be probably 8 to 10 points for Trump, but that does sound tempting.
But also, a lot of that is because DeSantis put some tightening up on the elections down there. Like DeSantis really cleaned up the election system down there.
He did. And so like if any of y'all are out in Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, anywhere in that general area, right? Come out, see us, definitely DM me.
I'll meet you in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it might be Wisconsin. We're lying low and we're trying to see which one is really going to be the nail biter. And we're going to show up to the nail biter and do our best for a couple weeks, really trying to get out the vote. If every single one of you guys was to stop blackpilling, go knock on a few doors, go harvest a few ballots legally, right? Do your part, we would have a landslide in November, which I already think we're going to be having. And guess what? We're going to make America great again.
That's what's
gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
Guys, hit like, subscribe, share the show. We will be back Tuesday and we will be discussing Catholicism. We will tell Nick what we're talking about. Nick will make a decision if he's going to join us. Nick's going to probably, if we're doing a little too gossipy stuff, he might not join us.
To clarify what I meant the other day, because it's like some people are asking me, like, does this mean you'll never talk about the SSPX again? What I mean about Catholic drama is I try to make it clear in the video. I apologize if I didn't. But basically, it's just kind of like the Catholic YouTubers who act like TMZ hosts who like ankle bite at each other or only are peddling drama. I'm fine talking about church politics. It's just after a certain point.
You don't like the reaction stuff.
Yeah, so to me, it's like after a certain point, like we're talking about government tonight. In our church government, we have a monarchy. Until we get a new pope, nothing really is going to change. So for me, it's a slow news day because it's like, all right, I'm just kind of waiting until somebody passes away. I'm not wishing that, of course, but yeah, I appreciate it. I got a lot of love. I definitely had some people who thought I was attacking Marshall like severely. I don't see how, because I said, I like you, guy. You're a good guy. I agree with you on most of your stuff. Had a couple Lofton fans show up, said I wasn't nuanced, wasn't charitable, was a bad guy, but oh well, it's what it is.
Hold on, we got to get to this, or otherwise.
What is his Fatima hypothesis?
That because it happened on July 13th that Our Lady of Fatima intervened.
I will be honest. I think looking to.
I appreciate it, Joe.
I think looking to put anything that happens on the 13th is related to Our Lady of Fatima borders on superstition. A little
schismatic behavior.
I think it borders on superstition. That's all. I don't know. I mean, how could any of us know that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. If you can let him know, because I'm not on Twitter, but if you can let him know, I appreciate that. And if he wants to do a collab, I'm definitely willing to do a collab.
Yes, this would be that's what a winning campaign. Most important thing Trump can do is mandate 10 milligrams Zins.
Yes.
I mean, it's off-brand, but we have like 14 milligram available. Over
here. They're not the same, though.
I know they're not the same.
They're not the same because I've tried like the higher milligram other brands, and nah.
There was one brand, I forget what it is. I tried the 9 milligram of whatever it was, and it was like 10 seconds later. It's like, wow, this is it was
Oh,
something.
you felt it, huh?
Oh yeah.
I've not ever tried any of that, so I don't know.
I got
if
a
I want to.
friend. I have a friend who cuts his lip and puts 2 in at once, so that it goes into his bloodstream and it gets sick.
See, this is why Anthony needs to write a book, bro.
He's out of his mind. He was at my house yesterday for the party, but yeah, he's like, I love Zen.
He's
My
showing
whole
all the
life
high
is
school
Zen.
kids. Here, this is how you really get
Let
it.
me show you how you really do it.
Switchblade. Just...
They don't teach you this in school, kids.
Those days are behind me, Joe. Those days, thankfully, are behind me. All right, so we'll be back Tuesday, and we will be discussing the Eucharistic Congress and some of the cringe, some of the good.
A snuff video for that one. That road rage incident.
We got but we'll be discussing the good, some of the bad, some of the cringe, some of the positive.
Ugly.
Yeah, we'll get into, just because I don't know if we're in a bubble, man. I think a lot of us are jaded from our upbringing and what we saw in Novus Ordo.
You know what
world.
we should do? I know both Trevor from Tridentine and Chris from Beartooth went. We should get them on, see what they thought of it.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah, we'll reach out. All right, guys. This was a fun Sunday show. I'm going to try and get a good night's sleep tonight, and we will see you guys on Tuesday.
Adios, y'all.